Hello boys and girls, welcome back to yet another video, and here today we're going to be talking about the Call of Duty World League, and basically the first opportunity for teams to qualify for the Call of Duty World League will be happening, and they actually announced all the teams who will be participating in the NA, the EU, and also the ANZ or Australia/New Zealand, which is going to be fantastic. They announced basically, I think, 16 teams from the NA, and both 8 teams from Europe, and also another 8 teams from the ANZ, I guess we would call it that, as kind of like a summary of what it really is. But either way, we're going to be talking about the teams who have been announced, who have been invited, and what exactly this tournament really means, and when it's going to be taking place, and where it's going to be taking place. A lot of things to answer in a short period of time. Alright, so first things first, when is this all going to be taking place? Well, these tournaments are all going to be consisting on the December 4th, 5th, and 6th, that weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Through all of that weekend, we're going to be finding out which teams are going to be qualifying, and so on and so forth. As far as the ANZ, where that's going to be at, that's actually going to be in Sydney. I'm not sure exactly where. As far as the EU, that's actually going to be in the ESL headquarters, actually in Cologne, so that's where the European players are going to be playing at. And for the NA, we're actually going to be heading over to Los Angeles. So I'm not really sure where exactly. They haven't given a specific, place yet. At least I haven't seen that. If you guys have, feel free to tweet at me or put it in the comments. But basically, ANZ's in Sydney, EU is going to be at the ESL headquarters in Cologne, and the NA will be in Los Angeles somewhere. I don't know exactly where it's going to be taking place at. So like I said a minute ago, there's going to be 16 teams competing in the NA. There's going to be 8 teams in both the EU and the ANZ to compete. 4 teams from both the EU and the ANZ will make it to the official Season 1 of the Call of Duty World League, and 8 teams from the NA will make it to the Call of Duty World League. So basically, half of the teams from the NA will be placed in the World League. So basically, the top 8 make it in Season 1, and then there'll be another qualifier. I believe it's going to be an online qualifier who will decide that other those other 4 teams as well, and also so on and so forth for the EU and ANZ regions. So now that we know the date, where it's going to be at, and how the format's kind of consisting of, we're actually going to be talking about the teams who will be competing in all 3 regions. So starting us off in the North American region, we're going to see which teams will be competing to fight for that first season of the Call of Duty World League, at least the guaranteed first attempt, I guess you could say, at it. So we're going to look at the teams. The teams will be consisting of Optic Gaming, FaZe, Complexity, Envious, Luminosity, Rise Nation, Enigma 6, Denial, Elevate, TK, Orbit, Apotheon, 3ZEP, Dream Team, and 2 teams who have yet to find a official organization, Merc, Embos, Killa, and Study, that roster, and also Tipsy, Burns Off, Anticity, and Coldchan, that roster as well. So both of those 2 last teams have not officially signed with an organization yet. We thought that could be possibly Optic Nation. So how this is actually working, I know I'm kind of transitioning over a little bit, but how this is all working is that since there is a rule in place that basically you cannot have more than 2 teams in one region. So for instance, if I'm Optic Gaming and Optic Nation in the NA cannot exist. However, if they want to have a team in Europe and they want to have another team in the Australian League or the New Zealand League, ANZ, they're allowed to do that. You can just not have, you can't have 2 teams per region. You can have 1 team per one region, 1 team per another region, and so on and so forth. So that's why Optic Nation can't technically exist. They could be signing with a different organization. We're not really sure yet, since 3 of those players from Optic Nation did leave and head over to a different team. That left Embos in a very precarious situation in which he found 3 other players to play with. So that's not necessarily going to be under Optic Nation. As far as I know, they cannot be, but we'll see how it works out. There could be some, not necessarily loopholes, but they could be signing along with another org. We don't know what's going to happen with that other roster either. So we have some really, really good teams here from the NA. Like I mentioned, the top teams that you would normally expect, basically the top teams for right now. But there was actually there was a couple teams who actually didn't get invited. There was Mochilla's roster, I believe Kinetic Empire, which that team was consisting of like Sinful, Twiz, Lamagod, and Royalty. That team wasn't invited. And also I believe Stunner, who recently announced a new roster as well, will not be invited to this first one yet. Obviously there's 16 teams. It's very hard to kind of narrow those rosters down and which teams you want to invite and not invite. I know there's a little bit of, not drama, but a little bit of like curiosity why they weren't invited. Personally, I have no idea. People were asking me why. Like I said, I had no idea. I don't know why they weren't, but still kind of unfortunate. They will get another chance. Obviously, this is not the only chance that they're going to have. There will be another opportunity for the online qualifier. It's just going to make it a lot more interesting for those teams who don't make it out of this tournament and the teams who will have to compete later on. So now for the EU region, obviously you guys can see here we have 8 teams. The top 4 teams from this particular tournament will be moving on and have their guaranteed spot in Season 1. So the first roster we're going to have is actually Epsilon, then Infused, Orbit, Vitality, Fab Esports, Giants. I'm not really sure exactly. I've heard of them before, but I feel like that name is a little bit longer. And we have 2 teams who actually do not have an organization yet. There's been a lot of rumors saying that this first roster with Swanee, Mad Cat, Tommy, and Jurt, which is a fantastic lineup, could possibly be Optic EU. Is that going to happen? Obviously, it is a possibility, and they would be allowed to do that. Will they do it? Honestly, have no idea. But regardless, that is a very, very good roster, and I would definitely encourage, if there's anyone out there who runs an organization, a very well-known organization, pick that team up. That is a fantastic team. And nonetheless, the next team we have to talk about, who also do not have an organization, is still a very, very good team in its own right, which is consisting of Dominant, Reedy, Josh, and Bance. So very good teams here from the EU. Really excited to see this tournament go on as well. And this will be held at the ESL Cologne headquarters there as well. So really looking forward to seeing that tournament. Obviously, all these tournaments are going to be going on, I think, maybe at the same time. I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to work out, but it will all be streamed on Twitch, to kind of counterbalance that also. So we're going to move over to the ANZ region to see which teams are actually competing from there. So now for the ANZ region, much like the EU region as well, the top 4 teams from this particular qualifier will be moving on to and have a guaranteed spot in Season 1 for the Call of Duty World League as well. So we're going to look at these teams. Obviously, first team we're going to have is Planetronix Mind Freak. We also have Tainted Minds. We have Planetronix Envy, Citadel Gaming. I believe we have it's called Team Original. Some of these teams actually don't have logos, not really sure why. We have Team Original, Team Immunity. We also have Sway Gaming. They don't have a logo either. And also the last team we don't have a logo for is, I believe, Avidity is what they're called also. So pretty good lineups. Not really sure about all of these rosters. I know there's been some new teams announced. Planetronix Mind Freak and also Tainted Minds. I'm really excited to see those 2 rosters play. Damage, who's previously been on Planetronix and stuff, and Dens and Buzzo. Really good players from the ANZ. And we've seen, in the past, some of these, Australian players, these New Zealand players, show up at, NA events. Like, we've had some really good lineups before, just completely in shock all of the, NA scene and just come by storm. So we have some really good lineups. Like I said, guys, really excited to see how this tournament lines up. So guys, we don't have the full outline for the tournament, whether it's going to be best of 5s, what maps we're playing on, which is a big deal right now. A major deal is that we don't know the maps. We don't know if there's going to be any global bans, which I'll actually make in a separate video, most likely tomorrow. I'll have that video posted or the next day, talking about global bans and so on and so forth. But like I said, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did learn any information, make sure to hit that like button. It really does help me out. And yeah, make sure, actually, if you guys want to, tell me down in the comments you guys think will make it out of each region, whether you're from the EU, the ANZ, or the NA. Feel free to let me know. Or if you know about a team who you think could shock a lot of people, who knows, just let me know down all that stuff down in the comments. I always look at all the comments. So yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a fantastic day, and until next time, peace out.